Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United. We've got a special guest tonight. We're going to hop right into our show. Joining me tonight, as always, we have Jacob Terrell, Earl Nieto, and our special guest this evening, head coach and technical director of New Mexico United, Zach Prince. Guys, if you're in the chat, whether you're Facebook, YouTube, whatever, throw your comments and questions up in the chat. We're going to try to save some time here at the end of our interview with Coach to get some of your questions and comments in there as well. But let's just start off with the man of the hour, Coach. We appreciate you taking time out. I know it's a little bit late for you, as we've been told, so we appreciate the time and coming on and talking to us tonight.
No problem. Thank you, Earl, Seth, Jacob. I appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, it's a little late. I have a little 1.5-year-old little daughter, and so she runs me ragged all day, man. So trying to get sleep at the right time is definitely key for us.
Jacob and I both have smaller children, so we definitely know what you're going through, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
We know how it is, how precious that sleep is.
Oh yeah. It's the best, but you know it. Once you can, if you can have some time to relax, you got to take advantage of it for sure.
Yeah, and so we're just gonna get right into it. Like we said, we've got the final preseason match of the year coming up this weekend. Regular season kicks off next week. I mean, first of all, Coach, for you, how has this offseason and preseason been? Obviously, it's been pretty busy with all the new signings, all the guys coming back in, and how's this transition period these couple months been for you?
It's been great. I think I've been really fortunate as the assistant for the past 3 years to be challenged with a lot of responsibility during that time period. While you're an assistant, you're an influencer, you're not the decision maker. And so I always tried to put myself in that category is, if I was in the head coach technical director role, what decision would I make? And I always tried to plan ahead in case that opportunity was given to me. So I tried to prepare myself as best as possible. And I knew exactly what type of players that I wanted to go after in this off season, and we're able to execute and get a lot of those players. And so I'm excited with our roster. I think we have a really exciting roster, and I'm really just I'm grateful that we're able to play in Albuquerque coming up, and that people can come and see us in state. And so that'll be really fun for everyone to be able to come out and see that.
Coach, you guys started the preseason there in San Diego for a couple of weeks. What was I believe that's the first time we've actually spent that long outside of Albuquerque for preseason. Was there a reasoning behind that? Did you guys have a plan when you went out there?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. First, we have in the past gone to Tucson for about 7 days or so. And I wanted to make sure that was a little bit different this year. I wanted more of a camp environment where everything was right on site. And so whether that was where we ate, so the cafeteria, the field, the weight room, all those types of things were right there on site. And it gives a unique experience for us to always be around each other. It's the only time we'll do that all season. So that was a piece of it. Another piece of it was we're finishing up our locker room. And our locker room is just finished. We spent our first day in there today. It's an amazing space. And so Peter was, great about making sure that we had enough time away to be able to, do what's necessary on the field to prepare us for preseason in San Diego, and not be in Albuquerque without a home. In a locker room. So super grateful for that. And we definitely took advantage of that time period.
So with the preseason coming to an end, we have 1 week left of preseason. What player has stood out the most in your eyes during the preseason?
Yeah, I think it's not just one player. There's a lot of players have come, and a lot of change has happened in this preseason compared to previous years. So, one individual, Sam Hamilton, moving into the middle of the field. it's been, great to see him get in the middle of the field and really be able to use his athleticism and get around. Justin Portillo being able to control the pace of games and really show his range of passing has been great. Nico Brett coming in, he came in a little bit late into camp, and he's been excellent since he's came in. Preston Ataka has been great. Will Seymour has been great. Moved him from a little bit of a central midfielder role, and he's been playing some right center back recently. And I mean, he's done phenomenal there. And so I'm really excited for him and what that he has to offer in those positions. So I know you're looking for one player right now, Earl, but to be honest with you, a lot of guys have done so well this preseason, and it'd be unfair to just say one guy, right now, because so many guys have, really stepped up to the plate and taken their opportunity. Even a guy like Christian Nava last game, I played him in a couple different spots early on in preseason and played him more as in his natural role in this last game. And he was really able to express himself and do really well against El Paso. So it's fun seeing these guys, even Carl Santee coming in. I mean, the kid has unbelievable talent. His talent level is something that I think he could reach very, very high levels. And each day he is improving more and more. And so I'm so excited to see where he's going to be in 3, 4, 5 months from now.
Talking about the El Paso preseason match, you talked about Christian. Christian, obviously, he played really well, put a lot of pressure on Yuma in that match. It was kind of hard. This was the first time that
we don't say that name, Seth.
Okay, I apologize. This is the first time that we've had a chance to actually see the club in action so far this preseason. Looking at how you line the guys up, we were debating this in our group chat. It looked like either a 3-5-2, maybe like a 3-4-3, with some flexibility. Early on you had Josh and Harry going up the sides. It looked like Josh came off with a bit of a knock there. Can you speak a little bit about what you played on Saturday and what worked well against El Paso?
Yeah, I mean, first we started out in a 3-4-3, but the flexibility with our players and their ability to able to identify space and find space, it might look a little different at times, and not maybe as rigid as, hey, there's 3 at the back, 4 in the middle, and then 3 up higher. So it's really a lot. We lean on them a lot to really problem solve and identify spaces in games. With Josh, it was just a little knock. It's precautionary for him to come off. He was just, more of a playing it safe type deal. And so I look forward to him having a great year. But this year, my coaching style is very principle based, which that means this is the spaces we're trying to attack. This is the style of play we're trying to have in principles guide us in those different phases of the game. And so that means we can be flexible. We can play a 3-4-3. We can play a 3-4-1-2. We can play a 4-4-2 diamond. 4-3-3. We'll be able to shift and be adaptable in these different situations. And why I think that's important is, we play at Isotopes on a baseball pitch and at 6,000 feet, and then we'll go down to Southern Texas and play at RGV, and the field's 78 yards to 80 yards wide. And so it's a different game where you can use different spaces in those games. And so saying that, I think it's important for us to be flexible, but at the same time, not change our identity.
Kind of a fault to that. And I don't know if this is something that you want to speak to on air, but I kept hearing you say something about find your zero. Is that something that you can explain as to what you were trying to get the guys to do, or do you want to kind of keep that in-house?
I hope you couldn't hear everything.
No, couldn't hear everything.
Okay. So, zero positioning is a position where you're in the middle of either 3 or 4 players. And so what that means is it puts those 3 or 4 players in a position of indecision where they can't they don't know exactly who's supposed to go and press that player. So finding the zero space is right in the middle of those 3 players, right in the middle of those 4 players. And so what's important about that is a zero positioning isn't a defined position on the field. It's a moving, flowing position that's constantly moving. And so finding the zero, this is what I'm talking about with, we rely on these players to be smart and be able to find the space for themselves. And that zero is language that we use where they can look around and say, okay, where can I be that's going to put the defenders in a position where they don't know who exactly is going to go press that guy once he receives the ball.
How do you feel the team executed your principles in that El Paso match? I felt like it was a good game, but we haven't seen, any of the previous matches. Was there definite improvement from match to match to match in the preseason?
We've definitely improved in every game so far, but at the same time, like I told the guys at the end, we have holes that we have to identify. Early on in the game, they were able to break us way too easy. We weren't able to identify their 6 and Richie Ryan, and they were able to break us horizontally, which allowed them to move up the field vertically way too often. It wasn't a situation where they were like creating a ton of chances, but we like to disrupt high up the field, and we got into the situation where we were, what I call dirty running. It's you're running backwards 60, 70 yards and defending in a low block, where I think we could have done a better job and done that running early. And if we were maybe on our front foot, maybe proactive defending a little bit more, then we could have disrupted them and used our energy high up the field. That's my goal, is to make sure that we're not putting our players in a situation where we're running a lot negative. I like to be on the front foot. I like to be positive. I like to try to proactively defend and feel like we're in control even if we don't have the ball.
The few things that stood out in that second half, especially, were how chippy it got. How do you keep your guys, have them keep a level head going into the regular season matches against El Paso? Because the one tackle in particular, everybody got riled up. And do you think that's some gamesmanship from he who shall not be named, is trying to get under your skin?
The way I think about it is this: like, first, our mentality in training is very, very strong. And we're very competitive in training. It gets uncomfortable sometimes, which is okay. I don't mind that at all. It's never to a point where we're getting in fights or anything like that, but to a point where, it's not the friendliest competitions in training. And so what I would say with that is, when we get on the field, because of that, and when we're playing against a different opponent, the amount of respect that we have for each other, when we see something like that happen, that's shouldn't be a part of the game, then we go and defend each other. And what's important about that is, it's not about getting in someone's face and making sure that you're, showing your bravado. It's saying like, hey man, that's unacceptable, and you're not going to do that to us. And if it keeps happening, like, we're going to respond to it, and respond in the right way. That doesn't mean us being dirty, but it means that we're not going to get pushed around. And our ethos is hard work, humility, diligence, action. And I think sometimes humility gets, confused with false modesty. And what I mean by that is, sometimes we were too nice, and I don't want that to be the case for us. I think we can definitely be the aggressors in a lot of situations and make other teams uncomfortable, and that's when I'm the most comfortable, is when we're really making the opponent uncomfortable.
Well, and what I loved about how the other players' reactions is that the 3 main people that had Ryden's back were new guys. It was the one that was just named today, Ford Parker, and then Seymour, and then Alexi was definitely not having it, and that was good to see. And then I felt you guys responded really well. I mean, you obviously got a goal right there off the restart when Yuma was, I'm assuming, getting his butt chewed by his coach, and then we were able to tack on a couple more after that. So,
sorry to interrupt you, Jacob. I think I
tend to ramble, so you'd have to cut me off sometimes.
Well, I think this is a it's a product of us being together in San Diego for so long.
Mhm.
So these guys were, normal preseason, you're together for 2 or 3 hours a day, and then you go home and people go back to their wives and their families, or they go back to their roommates or whoever they're living with at the time, and they spend a lot of time. We were forced to be with each other for 24 hours a day for 16 days. And what that did was it made people interact, and there was an organic a realness to that. And that meant us really, so these new guys, when you're saying new guys, like I look at these guys and man, it feels like they've been with us for a while because of that experience. So I, I'm not surprised by that those guys were, the guys that were, the ones to respond. And that's also why we brought some of these guys in. They have that chip on their shoulder of saying, like, I've been in these situations, I've played in high level games, and I'm I know what it takes to win matches that are really competitive.
Jacob just brought up Ford, the newest signing for the club. How long has he been on your radar? And he's obviously performed well in his appearances so far this preseason. How easy was it to get him to come back to Albuquerque?
Yeah, Ford and I, actually, the first time I met Ford was an unfortunate time, because that's when UNM's program was getting cut, and I actually trained their team once a week for the spring, and that's when I met Ford. So I would train them before I would train our New Mexico United team in 2019, and so saying that, I met him there, and I saw this kid that his competitive streak, even though that they really didn't have any games to play, they didn't have anything for that team to look forward to. This kid was pushing himself every day. And so that stuck with me. And then he contacted me in the offseason. His agent contacted me in the offseason, and I wanted to give him an opportunity to come in and prove himself. And he's been great. He had his first couple of days, not the best days for him. And we both knew that his level could have been higher in those days. And we had a conversation in day 4, day 5 or so. And his response to that was incredible, and he's been great so far. And I expect him to continue improving.
Let's see. I have one more before we move on to maybe a couple of these community questions. So if you can you give us any sort of update? I know we heard through a source a couple weeks ago that Dev was in the process of getting medically cleared. Can you give us any sort of update on Dev's status, how Amando's doing, and when Ratty is going to be joining the club?
Sure. So Dev, in constant contact with him. He's working with our academy right now. He's been doing a great job, coaching with them. No update on him medically. As far as his medical situation, I don't know. It's just it's a different situation for us. It's not something that we normally deal with at all, and we're just taking it step by step and seeing where that goes, and just trying to support him as much as possible. And then I think he's in a good headspace as well, and which I'm really happy with, as far as just happy for him as a human being, beyond soccer, beyond New Mexico United, just Devin Sandoval as a person. I'm really happy for him and where he's at mentally. I think in a good space, and so that makes me happy. So then Amando Moreno doing excellent. He is working extremely hard to get back. He has about midway through the process of his rehab, and so we're excited to get him. He was on the field today, and he's such a good kid and such a good teammate, such a good person. He's wanting to learn all the new concepts that we're trying to teach, and he doesn't take a day off. He's taking mental reps on the sidelines, which is just incredible to see. And then Ratty, we're just waiting on a visa for him. The visa process is backed up, as we know, with COVID, backing everything up. It's just part of the process. We're not the only team that's dealing with this. We're not the only people that are dealing with this. It's just where it is right now. And so once he gets his visa, he'll be on a plane and hopefully getting here as quickly as we can.
All right, we had a couple other questions over here in the chat. First up, we have here Anthony Herrera. Last year, we saw tons and tons of draws. How are you planning on holding leads and ensuring the attacks towards the opponent's goals are fruitful?
Yeah, I think that's, for sure frustrating, especially when you're up in games. And I think what's important about that is to know that there's two things with that. First, a really vulnerable point in the game is after a goal is scored. And so knowing that we can capitalize on those moments is really important. And our mentality should not change. Our style should not change. We should always be front footed. We should always be progressive, trying to play our style and not changing that based off of a score line. And so I think that's very important. And the second thing is I think, with the personnel that we have this year, we have the ability to make changes to be even more aggressive coming onto the field. And when we make changes, we can make changes that can change a game attacking. And I'm excited to be in those situations coming here shortly.
Another question here, Anthony, as well. How much do you want to squash El Paso again?
So with them in general, it goes to us. El Paso is a fun game to play. There's no doubt about that. But it really goes to us wanting to, host a playoff game and be at the top of the Western Conference. And so that means, doing well against El Paso for sure. I know that's an important game for all of us, and we take that one just as seriously as we take everyone else. But at the same time, it's this whole process of us taking our first step. We can't overlook Vegas. Vegas is our first opponent. We're looking at that, hey, how can we go and get 3 points in that game? And that's incredibly important to us.
Speaking of hosting matches, you talk about the playoffs. The club obviously announced that we're going to be able to host an Open Cup match for the first time this year. How big of a deal is that for you as the head coach and for the club?
It's massive. So I've been a part of the Open Cup runs as a player. I've been to the quarterfinal twice as a player and been in the quarterfinal as an assistant. And so hosting matches is incredibly important to do well. These first round matches against, whoever we play, whether it's Vegas or Park City, is they can be tricky matches. And if you overlook them, it can come and bite you. And so it's important for us to take that match incredibly, incredibly seriously and make sure that we are not overlooking that at all. And having us at home is a massive advantage. And we have to look at that as an advantage and take advantage of it.
And I've got one more for you. It hasn't been that long since you were a player in the league. What are your thoughts and feelings on the league's expansion and just how solid the league seems to be top to bottom now?
It's a really competitive league. The amount of money and investment teams are having in their organizations is really it's impressive, and I am so excited for where this league is headed and where it's going to go. You're looking at just the league above us as well, and the MLS and some of the business that they're doing. You see Jose Gallegos with San Antonio got sold for a lot of money this year, and so you can see there's a lot of respect being put towards this league, and I'm really excited to be a part of it, and not just be a part of the league, but in my eyes, we're the best organization in this league, and I'm so thrilled to be the guy that can lead us on the field.
We got another question over in the chat here from a fan of the show, Jerry Murillo. Coach Jerry is actually an El Paso supporter, but he does pop into our show and hang out with us from time to time. What is going to be the difference from last year, and are playoffs actually a reality this year?
Oh, Jerry.
Yes. What was the first part of that question? Sorry.
What
You don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
I didn't hear you. Sorry, Seth.
Jerry said, "What is going to be the difference from last year, and are playoffs actually a reality this year?"
there's going to be a ton of differences, and we can talk about differences from this year and last year. We can talk about differences from 2019, 2020, 2021. There's just always going to be differences and players coming in and all that, different styles, different formations. What I think for me in what's important to me is that we reflect how competitive we are every day. Every single day, these guys push each other. Every single day, they look to get the best out of each other, and we look to be the best version of ourselves every day. And so I really pride ourselves on that and pride myself on that. And I think that if we keep doing that every day, it's going to show and reflect in results. And so with playoffs, in regards to playoffs, of course, everyone wants to get in playoffs, and we just don't want to get into playoffs. We want, as we're doing with the Open Cup, we want to host a playoff game.
All right, guys. Jacob, Earl, you guys got anything else for Coach before we let him out of here?
No, that was it. Really appreciate it, and the league is lucky to have you in it as well.
I appreciate that, guys. You guys do a phenomenal job. I really appreciate all the support that you guys have, and I can't wait to see you guys out there on March 13th.
Well, actually, we'll actually be out there. Jacob and I will be there this weekend.
Awesome.
See you guys out
awesome.
at Mesa del Sol for the final preseason match. We're gonna ignore the question.
I have one more question. It came from Sombrero Man. We all know him. Coach, what are your thoughts on Jacob's forehead?
This is a running joke that they have. That
it's okay, man. Okay.
We were this close to getting out with a completely professional interview. This close, Sombrero Man. Thank you.
I blame Earl.
One final question: La Malediction. Has there been any interest for Nava from other teams? Now, I don't know if this is something that you can answer, but
Nava's going to create interest. He's a young player. He's a good player. And that's I mean, he's has a lot of upside, so it'd be crazy if other teams weren't interested in him. So he'll continually create interest, as will other players.
All right, guys, there it is. Head coach and technical director Zach Prince. Coach, thank you so much again for your time. David Carl hanging out in the background. Thank you, David, for setting this up, and we will see you guys this weekend out at Mesa del Sol.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye.
All right, folks. So there you have it. That was, of course, head coach, technical director Zach Prince of New Mexico United. I mean, we had a lot of great stuff in there. I felt like that Coach gave us a lot of good answers. So
I thought we were friends, Sombrero Man. I thought we were cool.
Oh, Carlos, this close, man.
He was great. He definitely had some gems in there, and got me even more excited than I was for not only this coming Saturday, but the regular season.
Yeah, no, it actually is. Obviously this past weekend, New Mexico United did beat El Paso in a preseason friendly by a final of 3-1. Sergio Rivas picked up a goal. Carl Sainty picked up a goal, and Christian Nava. No?
Swartz. Yeah, Swartz, okay. Nava. Well, Swartz, Sainty, Nava.
Yeah, there you go. It looked like Serge. I could have sworn I heard it, but anyway, there you go. Swartz, Sainty, and Nava picked up goals out in El Paso. Final preseason match of the year this weekend, Mesa del Sol, noon kickoff on Saturday. I know there are still tickets available because I tried to order one the other day, but Jacob and I will be out there. NM Ultras, what did you miss?
Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing.
Yeah, you missed the entire interview with Coach. So,
but if you want the best part, make sure you tune in at like 26 minutes ish, and you get Coach's opinion on Jacob's forehead.
No, you get him looking at me like, "I'm sorry, buddy. I'm I was like, it's okay. I put myself through this." So,
Coach Steve,
Coach Steve in the chat. How you doing tonight, Coach? Good to see you. We're just blessed with coaching royalty this evening.
Jerry was making me laugh though with his comments because Earl hopped on so late I couldn't comment on it after he hopped on. But what is going on there, Earl?
Oh,
you look 22 and act 80. So just real.
Wait, I look 22.
Yeah.
Also, I look like
You
8
look
years old this
you look a
morning.
lot younger without the goatee. Yeah.
It was
Who told
something
you at
different. My coworkers.
Nice.
So it's kind of hard for them to take
Mike.
opinions from a manager that looks like an 8-year-old.
It's. I just picture you in Boss Baby, just in the little suit, trying to tell adults what to do. And yeah, that
Exactly. That's exactly how everyone felt today. But no, so I cleaned it up a little bit. I've had I don't know what to say to those two. I've had a beard for 3 years, so I figured I'd change it up just a little bit, and I threw you guys off guard for sure.
Yeah, definitely was not expecting that. So, but yeah, so let the nonsense commence. We still have some more show to get to.
It commenced about minute 26. Thank you very much.
Yes,
I don't think it took a minute 26. It took Jerry.
Oh yeah, it took
like
Jerry and them. Yeah, like
42
Tito. Yes,
milliseconds.
Tito.
Exactly, Steve. Coach Steve. Let them hate. They're just jealous because they can't shave.
No, I can shave. I just look like you when I shave, so I choose not
Jacob,
to.
for one, has to drive like 4 hours to buy a razor, and then
No, I don't. There's this thing called
Seth
Amazon.
just-
Amazon delivers here, believe it or not.
oh,
I've given up on of doing a full facial
I shave
shave.
good.
It just doesn't
So-
work. But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
so yeah, final preseason match coming up. We got the regular season kicking off next week. I know we put it out in our social media post, guys. We are back to every week coverage from here until the end of the season. So hopefully you guys are ready to, and strapped in for a full.
Isn't it past your
years worth of
bedtime, Sombrero
coverage.
Man?
Jerry, we were trying not to laugh. I kept
Yeah.
seeing the comments, and but I mean, you guys are great questions for Coach. Appreciate you guys doing that.
Except for Jerry.
even
so-
you, Jerry.
So Earl, unfortunately, we know you're not going to be there this weekend due to family obligations. But did you have a chance to watch the El Paso preseason match?
So there's one thing I don't do is I don't suffer through El Paso matches,
Okay.
even if it is United playing. So no, I have not watched it over.
Okay. All right.
I
well,
watched the
then-
highlights because I did show off the videos you guys sent in, especially Jacob's pans falling in the background.
Yeah, you like that? 2 3-year-olds and a 5-year-old. I'm sorry. Okay, I did
And
what I could.
Sombrero Man says it best. FEP,
Hey,
including FEP matches.
So Jacob, for you and me, we're like we said, we're going to be out there Saturday at Mexico. So what are you wanting to see from the guys in the final tune-up for the regular season?
Well, so this is gonna be a cheesy answer, but I just want to see everybody coming out of that match healthy for one. You never want to see somebody go down a week before games actually start to count. So like when Suggs got pulled out early in the El Paso match, I was like, hopefully, I'm sure it's just something small, but you just never know. But no, I would love to. I want to see a lot more Nava, to be completely honest with you. I mean, he came in that they changed front threes around minute, as best I could tell, minute like 65-ish, 70-ish, somewhere in there. And maybe even like 60. And Nava, Kiesewetter, and Itaka came in and completely changed that match. And Nava was the driving force in that, and I would love to see him get more minutes. Not only, oh, now you're gonna go to bed? Really? Thanks, appreciate it. Not only would I like to see him get more minutes tomorrow or 4 days from now, I want to see him get a lot more minutes. Starting on the 13th, he's definitely shown. He showed me in that game, and Coach talked about him. He's going to be drawing interest from other clubs and stuff, and it's because he makes a difference out there, and his energy is not only great, but he also brings everybody else up with them with that energy. It's contagious. So I'm just happy to. I don't know who you're calling Grams, but I'll be
think he's
damned if
talking to
you're
me.
okay. I hope so, even though you look like a baby.
It's either me or Jerry, one of the two.
I don't know. He mentions I'm not as old as you, Jacob, in the chat a few minutes earlier, so I think it might be directed to me. So, we'll see you Saturday or Sunday the 13th, my friend.
Yeah.
We'll see you. Oh yeah, it could be, Steve.
Yeah, could be. But yeah, I thought Christian played fantastic on Saturday. He put a lot of pressure on Nava, and I thought the press that we played for significant portions of the match worked really well against El Paso. You could see guys making interceptions and really just kind of getting in the head of the goalkeeper for El Paso and their back line, and it paid off, especially there in the second half. And I think that's something that we missed a lot of last season, after it had done so well for us the first two seasons. And if we can do that on a regular basis, I mean, obviously we can't do it for the full 90, it's not going to happen, but obviously if we can do that, I think it's going to be a big help. But just seeing the interplay between Nava and Jerome, and getting all the different guys out there, and even Ford coming in, I felt Ford had some great distribution. He's got a really strong leg too, watching some of those kicks. But there's a lot that I want to see. I just, like you said, you want to see guys come out of the final preseason match healthy. You want to see shots on goal. You want to see those opportunities being created. We didn't really see too many opportunities for Bees to create or get shots on Saturday, but hopefully, that's something that gets worked into the system, or it develops as the rest of the system forms around it. So,
yeah, I had in my notes that Bees and Nico seemed, and Rivas to an extent, they all seemed kind of disconnected from the rest of the team in that first half and the first part of the second half. They just weren't doing enough out there for whatever reason. I don't know what it was, but and that's why I think when Nava came in, he like jumped off the screen at me, because he was night and day difference as to what we were seeing between Weehan and Nico. But those are probably the two people that I'm least worried about. I mean, Weehan we've seen for 2.5 seasons now. We know what he's capable of, and if there's a striker in this league that I'm not worried about, it's Nico Brett being able to finish at some point. So I would like to see them. I would like to see a little bit from them Sunday or Saturday against a lesser opponent. No offense, Tailstorm, but against them, I'd like to see them be able to do something and get some confidence going into the home opener. But other than that, I'm just happy to be going to live soccer again for the first time since an October night last year. It's the preseason, or this offseason is crazy because it feels so long, yet it also is like, oh yeah, that was like yesterday. I was at Isotopes Park watching that last game, and it wasn't. But you figure we've turned over a third of the roster, maybe even a little more, in 3 months, essentially. So
yeah, no, I get it. And, it's definitely going to be exciting to see the club back in action. Now, if you've been missing out on live soccer, you should have come out to see the runners. Shout out to Coach Steve there in the chat. We'll get to our runners recap here in just a little bit. Jerry, of course, now that Coach is gone, posing this question once again. So are playoffs a reality, and why?
So really, he should be asking himself that, because you guys did lose your head coach, lost your keeper, lost everybody except for like your god. So you should probably ask yourself that before you ask us that.
Fep. Earl from the top rope, just out of nowhere. Just
And now I will go back to eating my broccoli and cheese.
Good job,
Earl just F5 Jerry off the top of the pod. That's what he did. So, I mean, really, Jerry, at this point, you've got to think that if you're a head coach for any of these clubs in the USL Championship, coming into a brand new season, you've got new talent, you've got returning talent. I feel like every team at this point feels like playoffs are a reality. Now,
except for maybe like RGV, who just barely got a roster 2 weeks ago. And I mean, they do have some talented players. I'll give them that. I mean, Cello's over there and some others, but there are some teams that maybe like Vegas, who I don't even know what Vegas is doing this year. So, but other than that, yes, I mean, I think most of the teams are probably sitting there thinking, yeah, we have a shot.
Yeah.
Look at you two, so professional.
I think it's a realistic goal at this point. For every club, your goal is to reach the playoffs. I feel like we've upgraded, particularly in areas that we felt like we were weak last season. We brought in some guys that are pacey, that are proven scorers, that look like they're going to be creators in that final third. We signed some great defenders. We brought back the core of our club from last season, back there in the back line. We brought in Radi Ovuka, who hasn't joined the club yet, but hopefully he'll be here before too long. We brought in other guys too that are just kind of help solidify. And like Jesus said, we've got depth now. I feel like we have depth and not just what was the word we used a lot last year? Flexibility. Not necessarily a lot of flexibility. We have actual depth, guys that we can put in and really help make a difference. So I think playoffs are an absolute reality for us this season.
Jerry, I want to make this interesting somehow. So you come up with the stakes, and I will shake your hand on it, that United finishes above El Paso in the table. So I'll just throw it out there, and you figure out what you want to do. Obviously, like $1 million is off the table, but something's there, and we can figure something out, maybe offline. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, like regular season starts next week. Obviously, starting next week, we'll have our match previews and all that kind of stuff going on each and every week. We'll have previews, recaps, news. But I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot that came out this week. We did, of course, have the signing today of Ford Parker coming in, played last 2 seasons with Birmingham Legion. Sandia High graduate, went on to UNM and to UC Irvine. A guy who's familiar with this area. His parents still live here. David actually told us today in the press conference that his parents have been season ticket holders since season 1.
Nice.
So yeah, they in the press conference today, Ford said that he had to tell his parents to keep it quiet, that she couldn't say anything, because his mom was super excited that he was out here trialing with New Mexico. And I know David, they kind of tweeted out and said that it wasn't, kind of tongue in cheek, the second best kept secret or whatever. I honestly feel like they did a pretty good job because, we didn't really know a name until this week.
We didn't really, I didn't really try to dig though.
Yeah.
We probably could have found some stuff out if we really wanted to, but, we did not. Jerry, I have it. All right, here's the deal. If United finishes ahead of El Paso at the end of the regular season, you buy a United kit and you wear it on the podcast. If El Paso finishes higher than United, I will buy an El Paso kit and I will wear it on the podcast.
Can I up the stakes?
No. What?
So if El Paso finishes higher, you have to buy a Yuma kit.
Oh. But see, we don't have an equivalent for him. But I feel
Jerry,
I feel confident. So go ahead. Let's do it. No, I feel confident.
Okay, so Jerry, who is your most hated United player?
Probably Sandoval.
Probably. So whoever that is, the stakes are also with you. If United finishes higher than El Paso, you buy just in regular season. Just regular season.
One-off playoffs are too much of a crapshoot, so we're just doing the table.
Yeah, because we obviously saw El Paso lose first round, so that doesn't count.
I feel like, but seriously, I feel like the table is a better idea of how good a team is how high they finish in the regular season. Hence why Premier League and Serie A and Bundesliga all do their championship as whoever finishes at the first in the table in the regular season. So
speaking of Premier League, would you want to talk about the Spurs?
No, I do not actually. Really don't. We beat Man City, which Everton couldn't do.
We got screwed by the refs. The league, the head of refereeing for PGEMOL came out and made personal phone calls to both head coach and the chairman of the board, apologizing for the VAR decision. They were wrong. Yeah. But anyway, we're at least still in the FA Cup, so for now. But yeah, there really hasn't.
Play City again.
Wait, man, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't even looked at who's left. All I know is that Spurs are out. So, yeah, there's not a lot of news. Obviously, I mentioned Ford being signed. The club did release an announcement, though. The Open Cup match that we are slated to host in April will be at University of New Mexico out of the soccer complex. We kind of talked about this on our last show. We weren't entirely sure where it was going to be happening. We thought it was going to be at the lab, but now it's over at UNM, and they're working to get the facilities together for that. So we have a date, we have a time, and looking forward to it. I mean, do you guys think this is the right decision to do it there, or do you think that it was the only option available?
They could literally play it at Milne Stadium, and I'd be okay with it.
Okay.
The fact is, it's a non-league game happening in Albuquerque, and that's all I'm good with.
Jacob is deep in research for something.
I know I'm commenting to Jerry.
Okay. Historically, El Paso always goes farther than in
the playoffs. Then read the second one. The second one's correct.
Historically, El Paso goes further in the playoffs than NMU. Yeah, but
and historically they finish higher in the table than NMU. So it doesn't. Historically, you guys have been the better club. So that's why I'm saying if we finish higher, then you lose.
But yeah, so I think that's about it as far as New Mexico United news and notes. I do have a runners recap from this past weekend. On Saturday night, the New Mexico Runners did lose to Wichita Wings by a final of 6-3 out at the Rio Rancho Event Center. I was out there. I was watching the match. It didn't start well for the Runners. I was talking to Coach Steve after the match, and literally the ball was not bouncing the Runners' way. There was an own goal to open scoring, and then there were two balls that came off the glass behind the goal directly to a Wings player who was able to finish it. And yeah, the Runners just weren't able to come back. I mean, they put up a good effort in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter, where they scored 2 goals there to cut the lead down to 5-3 at one point. But yeah, it was just an unfortunate night for the Runners. And they are eliminated from playoff contention. So it's been a tough season for the Runners. We've talked to Coach Steve about it a couple of times. After taking basically almost 2 years off, for the guys to come back and start playing again. He's been very high on praise for the guys and how they've played and how they came together and meshed this season, and getting back on the pitch and getting back into the swing of things. And one thing that I didn't realize is that some of these other clubs actually bring in players. They fly them in on the weekends for their matches, and they pay. Yeah, some of these clubs have significant funding behind them.
Apparently,
yeah. So they'll bring in guys from different states and stuff to play for them. So the Runners have 2 matches remaining in the season. They've got one, I believe it's next weekend, the 12th, up in Colorado, where they take on the Colorado Inferno once again. And then their final home game of the season, March 19th, out at the Rio Rancho Event Center. So guys, get out there and support them for the last match. They deserve it. It's a fantastic thing. It's fantastic sport to watch. I've really been enjoying getting out there, talking to Coach Steve and Andres, and meeting some of the players and seeing how they play and stuff. And so get out there and support them. Also, this past week, I had a chance to catch up with a name that is familiar to New Mexico United supporters. Gabe Legendry was out at Rio Rancho Event Center this past weekend and had a chance to talk to him. His brother Nick has been playing a little bit for the Runners this season. So Gabe's doing well. He apparently made captain of his collegiate squad as a sophomore, and he's just talking to him. He's looking forward to it. Like he's putting in the work. And so, yeah, Gabe, we wish you all the best up in college, and we can't wait to see you back here in Albuquerque once again. We do. Coach, we got to get Earl out there. We do. We got to get Earl out there.
Let me see what I can do on the 19th. Let me see.
All right.
Let me talk to my wife, and we'll get things. I'll try to get out there the 19th.
All right, there you go. If Earl can make it, we'll have Earl up there doing coverage for us. I'm going to attempt to go down to El Paso that weekend to see if I can't get into the New Mexico United and El Paso match down there. So, yeah, guys, get out, support him. Coach Steve's in the chat. Always a great guy to talk to. Tremendous amounts of soccer knowledge. So yeah, it's been great. The real Earl, not this phony. Yeah, we got to get Earl with the facial.
This phony is the real Earl because he literally just called you out, Jerry.
Jerry, let me tell you what's going on here, Jerry. Earl felt bad about everybody talking about my forehead, so he took one for the team and decided to make a baby face. And wanted to take some heat off me. Of course, that didn't stop Sombrero Man, but I appreciate it, Earl.
All right. I don't have anything else for tonight. You guys got anything other? We got the MLB lockout. First two series of the season are canceled. So
saw that coming from a mile away. No news.
Yeah, I think we all did. I just want to end so I can see Freddie Freeman sign his lifetime contract with the Braves. So
I had two things. What were they? I remember one, but there was another one. I don't remember the other one.
Well, let's start with the one you remember.
Guys, wrestling is terrible now.
You shut your freaking mouth.
I tried.
You shut your freaking mouth.
I tried to watch a whole pay-per-view, and
that's where you're wrong.
Could not do it.
That's where you're wrong, sir. It is not a pay-per-view.
Oh my gosh.
It's a premium live event.
You know what? That's what we're calling the show from now on. We are a premium live event. Yes.
Yes. But we are real, unlike wrestling.
Coach Steve, thanks for hanging out with us, man. We appreciate you. You have a great week yourself, man.
Other than that, no, I couldn't.
I kind of agree with you, Jacob, because we were talking about it, and it's just right. I don't know if it's the camera work or what, but like you could see, and maybe it's just because we're not ignorant anymore. Maybe that's what it is. But to see the guys like deliberately like moving their legs to make them get stuck in the turnbuckle really just kind of killed it.
Shut your mouth. Anyways, I gotta address Jerry. So I guess Jerry commented the signings or new signings, I guess, of El Paso. Eric Calvillo, Martin Payares, Nick Hines, Evan Newton made some signings from MLS and a champion from Orange County who took Moreno's place in the national team. Obviously, they didn't mean too much to you because you didn't put their freaking name. So that's one thing.
That's what he's saying is those four are from the MLS and a champion from Orange County.
Number two, I can care less who El Paso signs. They can sign freaking President Trump, and it's not going to impress me.
That would be fun.
So that's just where I'm at with that. So I intentionally ignored that comment because I don't really care about El Paso.
That's how you know it's the real Earl, Jerry. Because he just fepped all over your face.
I'm out. I'm done. I'll mute myself on this one.
Okay. I think that's it. We got a game to go to on Saturday. Seth will be there. I will be there. My wife will be there. I actually have 2 tickets that I believe are available right now. We're still working on it, but yeah, we'll have live soccer, and then the week after that, man, it counts. So we will be back next week, 9:00. Maybe we'll have a guest, maybe we won't. Who knows at this point? But at the moment, we don't have anybody lined up. So until then, when we can talk about soccer we've actually seen, Somos Unidos, guys.